Alright guys, I thought I'd take a minute
Walk
and
through
do
of
a
the
display. I guess I could start over here on the right side. The train was just out for decorations, but as you can see here in this red box there is the E682. In this box here is a controller from Ray. Over here I've got another box, and I have yet another box. These three controllers ran the tree line right here. All of these trees came from Home Depot. Soldered all of the wire harnesses. You'll see there's extra wire here that runs from this node all the way over to this node here, so that it looks like this is the way the tree came from the factory. I did that the whole way up the tree, and pretty much the trees took me about 10 to 12 hours to do each one, and I did 7 trees. That's what I have room on over for. Here, this is the Mega Arch. I got it from Sears last year whenever I picked up all of the Flex Tech, which are now the arches. I got this for I think $40, and I just put RGB nodes on them, just stringed on, just like regular lights. The train, my sister found that in the trash, and I pulled out all of the incandescent lights, and I replaced them with RGB, or I'm sorry, I replaced them with LEDs, and a couple different sets in this one. I used red and clear and some blue. The arches are made from Flex Tech. And you can see in the background there, I have them, there's the snowman, and behind him is the fire sticks on the columns. That one came loose from its lower tie down, but the fire sticks and the arches were Flex Tech, and all I did was zip tie them every so often, once in the top here, and this is one 10-foot section of gray PVC, quarter or half-inch PVC conduit that I got at Lowe's. I think I paid $1.50 or $2. I don't know. All that's holding them in place is that rebar down there, which you can see slid right down in. The rebar stays out in the ground all year long, and I don't worry about it because this is all filled up with plants and perennials and stuff, so you never see them during the season. The RGB pixel sign here was very simple to make. There's a video on YouTube already about this, but I just used a T connector here, ran a piece of PVC back to the back here, and this is a piece of rebar that I bent and made a U into. It's probably a 2-foot piece. I bent it in the middle, and I just pounded it down with a mallet. The pressure from the rebar in the ground being a foot down is enough to hold it in place. These are some of the presents I had from last year. They're all the presents from last year, actually. And these are the presents that I made last year as well. These were homemade. I used just the cheapest green garland I could find, and this is some chicken wire, and I just wrapped the lights around it so that the lights wouldn't droop down on the top. I think I'm going to upgrade these next year and put RGBs on them. I do like them. I just don't have a fancy way to make. Bows for them. Up here we have the snowmen, and the snowmen, they came from a store called Ollie's last year. I got 5 of them, and I only had time to add in 2 of them. And then up here we have the spiral pixel tree, which is nothing but a spiral pixel strip, and we'll take a step up here. You can see this little box here. This is nothing but a power supply housing unit, and what I did was I connected 2 power supplies up, and this will give you a little better look. I have a few pictures on my Leechburg Lights Facebook page on how I actually put this together. But this sits underneath the awning, and it doesn't get much snow at all. I just turn it around backwards. And I'm just using regular outlet plugs, but it's DC voltage. And I run the DC voltage from here over to one of my Lightorama RGB controllers that I picked up over the summer. The other one is behind me. And basically what I do with this is this controls the arches and this controls the snowman. So these two snowmen are running off of two power supplies that are in that unit, and they're converted power supplies from computers. Moving on over to here, this is where I set up my 682. This is my E682, and it's running all of the arches and the fire sticks, the pixel tree, and then it's also running the pixel star that's on top of my mega tree. This is another Lightorama RGB controller, and Ray sent me the RGB nodes literally in a day and a half after I received the RGB nodes in, I want to say it was the week after Thanksgiving. I had attached them to my pallet strapping and strapped it up to the top of the mega tree. The mega tree is 16 strings of dumb RGB. You can see that all of the lines are twisted. Because I didn't have much time to put this together, and I wanted to hurry up and get it out in the display, I decided that whenever I put it up, knowing that the strips would flop over, I just decided to spin all of the strips as I put them up 3 times, and I spun them the same way. So it gives this little spiral effect to each string, but it also allows for a full look, and the lights can be seen as opposed to having to face the lights out towards the audience. My 682 controller, this one here used to be for the pixel tree, but whenever it didn't work out, I just run off of it. You can see the line going to the pixels over here on the ground. Those are my ground pixels. This is the fan. This was a project that really I hadn't intended on. This year didn't come out very well. I expected a little better, but then whenever I put the RGB trees in front of it, it kind of bleached it out in the background, and I ended up not sequencing it very much. So like I said, there's 7 legs on here. There's 3 channels per leg, so that's 21 total channels. Here's one of my custom LOR boxes. I've been using this setup for approximately 5 years now. I have just regular boxes. There's a how-to video how I did this controller on YouTube as it is, and on the back side is the actual boxes where the controller box is located. Over here I made a video on these as well. These are the my tenants live downstairs and they have kids, so don't mind the curtains. These are the RGB pixel frames, and there's a video on this on YouTube as well. Pretty much this is a broom handle holder, and it just says push on it. It's upside down, and you just push on it and holds it right in place. These picture frame or window frames have been up on the house since July, and you can see how the wires for the RGB, they used to be red, yellow, green, and blue. Now they're white. The red has faded. Everything's faded. All I did here to connect these 2 run on their own channel, these 2 window frames. So I piggybacked off to the end and ran a second wire with an extension and a pigtail, and it hides behind there, and it connects to this one here. So I have these 2 running off of the same exact the running wires over channel to this little controller area. This here is a duplex setup of one of the 27 channel controllers. I have pictures on YouTube how I did this. I installed 2 network jacks onto the board of this 27 channel controller I got from and I have not vented the case. On the back side here, in this box, there is the DIY LED bridge, and these just snap off. There are pictures on how I built this case with the strain reliefs underneath it here. And but basically, you can see I only used this one universe off of the bridge, and it runs the entire dumb network of RGBs on my roof. This little power supply here is a kit that I purchased off of, I think it was Amazon, for $15. It was to learn how to solder. So I learned how to solder putting this together, and I figured, well, I'll use it to power my board. And I think this is set to 5 volts. That's what I had also intended on having my network switch hidden in this box as well, but it didn't fit very well. It was getting very crowded, so I just put it in. I just put it in a separate box. All I did was I took an old Christmas light string and I connected it to. I cut the wires, and it's actually plugged in somewhere in this mess of wires. This is probably the worst mess of wires on the whole display. I put these wires, the wire up through, and then plugged it in to the actual onboard power supply that came with the network